All right, we're live. Algebra 1, Notes 2-8, Unknown Coefficients. Today's date is Thursday, September 17th, 2020. Who's going to read our objective for the day? Giorgio, go for it.
Solve equations that have unknown coefficients and unknown constants.
There it is, yep. All right, so I'm going to be using this word a bunch today. The word is factor. And factor just means you're going to undo distribution. Like distribution is when you like go ahead and multiply, and then if you factor, you're going to undo that distribution. So it's undo distribution. And then just by show of hands, just raise your hand in your camera. How many of you have heard of the word factor? You've heard of factor before? Maybe you've heard it as a factor tree, some form of factor. Okay, cool, thanks. So I'll show you going both ways. So going forwards, if I distribute the 3 into this 4x minus 2, you'll see that 3 times 4x is indeed, 12x, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So I've distributed it correctly. Okay, but now today we're going backwards, at least a little bit. I'll teach you more in depth how to go backwards with factoring later. But you should be able to look at 12x and look at negative 6 and think, what is a number that goes into both 12x and 6? What's the greatest common factor that I can do? So you might be thinking, I could probably factor out a 2. 2 goes into 12 because 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2, that works. But there's an even bigger number, and it's this one over here. I could have factored out a 3. So you should now be comfortable going from 12x minus 6 and saying, oh yeah, that's 3 times, and then, so 3 is the greatest common factor. I'll pull that out first. I don't want to go too fast here. So GCF stands for greatest common factor. And I guess F is the key word there, right? It's a factor. And then after I factor out that 3, what is left over? Because before I was multiplying, so now I have to divide by that 3. I was multiplying 3 times 4x, 3 times negative 2. Now I'm going to divide by 3. I divide by the greatest common factor. 12x divided by 3 is 4x. And negative 6 divided by this greatest common factor 3 is negative 2. This is the logic that we're going to have to go through today, going backwards with distribution.
I'm really confused right now.
All right, yeah, and other people are also confused, but let's see how confused we are. Just do a fist of 5. How well do you understand factoring? One is like, I'm very, very lost. Yeah, it's all over the map. I'm getting 3s. Got 1, 4. Okay, thanks. I think just seeing a few examples might help us too.
Never mind, I get it. A 5.
You're at a 5. You went from no understanding to 5 out of 5.
Yeah, because I understand it now.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. So a few examples here. I need to factor out the x. I see that x is going into px. X is going into 5x. When I say going into, another way of saying that is I could divide px divided by x and I get p. I could divide 5x divided by x and I get 5. I can divide evenly. I can't divide by, I don't know, 3 or some other number because 3 doesn't go into px. I can't divide both of these by p. If I try to divide that by p, okay, that works, but I can't divide negative 5x by p because there's no p here to cancel out. You can only divide by something that is a factor of both of these terms that makes it so that I can evenly divide. So x is the greatest common factor. It's telling you, hey, the x is going to be factored out. So I'm going to bring out the x out front of the parentheses. And again, when you factor out an x, that means you're really dividing the original terms by x. I need to figure out what goes in the parentheses. If I have 2 terms to start, I'm going to have 2 terms to end with. I'm going to copy down the sign also. If this was a minus sign, this should also be a minus sign unless I am somehow dividing by a negative over here. I'm dividing by this positive x, so a negative divided by this positive is a negative. Not too important right now. The main thing is we have 2 terms. Okay, if I'm factoring out an x, that means I'm dividing both of these terms by x. It's essentially saying divide by x, divide by x. And whenever I have the same thing in the top and the bottom, then I'm going to cancel them out. Welcome, Ripley. All right, so x and x are canceled out. It's the same thing as if I had 2 times 3 over 2. The 2's and 2's would cancel out. The same thing on the top and bottom. You can just cross them off. You have the same thing in the numerator and denominator. So what am I left with? I'm left with a p. Very same thing on the right-hand side. I have an x and an x. I'm going to cross those off, and I'm left with this minus 5. I already have the minus sign, so I'm going to say 5. And this is the correct way that we factor out an x. And you can check it, right? I mean, we went backwards. We factored out an x, but let's go forwards to check our work. If I were to go ahead and go forwards and distribute the x, x times p is px, and x times negative 5 is negative 5x. So we give ourselves the thumbs up. Okay, that makes sense. But let me check with you guys on your fist of 5 now. How well did that example make sense? Did I lower your scores? I'm at a 0. No, I'm a 4, 3, 3, 3, 4. Still kind of middle of the board. Okay. I need someone to ask a question then. How could I clarify? I'm looking for a question like, why did you do this and that? Yeah, Alden.
Why are we changing it? Because I don't know, the way it is seems more simpler to solve.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, like px and minus 5x, that is way simpler. It's like less terms. It's just 2 terms, chunk, chunk. And this has 3, chunk, chunk, chunk. Yeah, I totally agree. The reason is you're about to see, like I'm setting all of these tools up, and then you'll see why we're going to use this tool in example 2. So that's a great transition question. But before I get to number 2 and talk about why we're doing this, I know it's kind of silly to tell you why I'm doing this at the very end of this, but there is a reason, I promise. Does anyone else have a question on how to factor out something? No, okay, and this is kind of I should point out that this is a lesson that I don't really review again for a while. Like you use this lesson if you start doing calculus and stuff quite a bit. It's a very common trick, but it's not a very common trick for geometry or algebra 2 or any of the other classes that you typically will take. It's still kind of important to know though, so we're going through it. All right, so this is an example where we need to solve for x. Notice that I have some unknown coefficient here. Again, coefficient just meaning the number in front of x. I don't know what t is. So if I subtract tx on both sides, I'll get 3x minus tx. I can't combine those. I don't know what 3 minus t is. Is 3 minus t 7? Is it 1? Is it negative 3? I can't tell because I don't know the value of t. And that's the conundrum, our problem. And same thing, I don't know what p is. Using this trick up here, you can still solve for x. So we're going to use our same procedure where we're going to try to simplify both sides, which we can't do. And then we're going to go ahead and just try to solve for x by doing the same thing to the left and right side of our equation. All right, does anyone have an idea of what we should do? And I can give you guys a hint if you need it. I see one person has an idea. 2 people have an idea. Yeah, Jose?
I think we can, instead of adding 7, that might be subtracting 7 from P.
Oh yeah, so -7 on both sides?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, perfect. It's a valid operation. -7, and it gets us one step closer to the answer. Again, I could have said 4 different things. I could have added P to both sides. I could have subtracted 3x from both sides. I could have subtracted TX from both sides. The important thing is we're heading towards the direction of variables on one side, non-variables on the other side, the constants on the other side. All right, so Jose, read to me what I have on the left-hand side. You'll have 3 things now, right? And you're muted still.
TX minus P minus 7.
Perfect. And on the right-hand side?
3x.
There it is. All right, thank you. Again, we're heading in the right direction. We now have all of the constants, all of the non-variables on the left. We're not quite separating our variables and constants yet because I still have a variable on the left. What should I do now? Yeah, Alden.
Subtract TX.
Exactly. Yeah. Subtract TX. Subtract TX. And can you read us our new equation after we do that?
Minus P minus 7 equals 3x minus TX.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Those 2 steps are great, guys. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Alden. And it seems like we're not any closer, right? We still have 4 things, 4 terms. It seems like we're not getting any closer, right? How are we going to solve for x? The problem is there's 2 of these x things. I can't just isolate one of them. Normally, if we just had like a 2x on the left-hand side, we could divide both sides by 2. But I can't divide by 3 and divide by -t at the same time because then t would be also over here. It's just like, it seems like this loop that I can't get out of. So how do I get x by itself? And that's the really hard question from today, and I've already answered it. It's using this trick up here. Look at this. I have px minus 5x. Down here, I have 3x minus tx. If I factor out an x, then I'll have only 1x. Look, I went from having 2 x's. I had an x right here, an x right here. I had 2 x's, and now I've turned it into 1x. Then I can just divide by whatever this thing is, and I have x by itself. All right. Giorgio, are you ready to do the next step, or is it a question?
I think I'm ready to do divide by x on 3x and tx.
Yeah, and actually the word I'm looking for is actually factor out. Yeah, so if I factor out the x, what do I have left over?
3 minus t.
There it is, 3 minus t. And the left-hand side is still the same. We haven't changed that. Negative p minus 7. Okay, and then this part you probably have never seen before, but it's kind of magical and awesome. Are you guys ready for this? Or maybe someone sees it. I don't want to take away someone's thunder if you know what you're doing. Does anyone see what we do? It's our last step. You do this one step and you're done. X is equal to blank. Alden sees it. Whoa, okay, nice. Does anyone else see it? Ripley sees it. Jose is giving me the thumbs up. And for the rest of you, to give you a hint, right now, x is being multiplied by something. X is being multiplied by 3 minus t. What's the inverse operation of multiply by 3 minus t?
Divide.
Okay, well, don't give it away, Jose. Yeah, I haven't heard from Ripley today. You want to go for it? Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I just got here. My internet was out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, who wants to tell us what to do for our next step? Or sorry, you are ready? Ripley, are you going to do the next step for us, or are you just raising your hand to say hi?
If you multiply x times 3 and t.
Not quite. Yeah. So we actually undid the multiplication. So we undid the x, because if we go ahead and multiply the x times 3 and x times t, we'll actually go backwards. We'll go back to this step. Yeah. And then the word for undoing this distribution is called factoring. And I'll scroll back out to the notes at the very end so you can see the top part up here. We're doing the undoing of distribution today. Yeah, Alden, go for it.
Okay, so t equals -7 and p equals 3. Because it's the same equation. You just replace the variables with the numbers on the other side.
Say that one more time.
You replace the variables with the number on the other side.
Place the variable. Which variable? I see p, x, and t. Which variable are we replacing?
Well, p and t, because that's the only variables we have after O. I think I did something wrong.
You're not. Yeah, it's not quite because we don't know what they are exactly, and they could be anything. And I'll show you what I mean by that at the very end. But p and t, they do depend on each other, and they could be an infinite number of answers. So we have to be careful on which values we choose. But good guess. And I really appreciate people participating, even though it's kind of embarrassing to not quite get the right answer, because especially when you get to college, you'll have the same experience where you'll be in probably a group of like 100 people that might be judging us. It's hard. But I really, really appreciate everyone that's participating so far. Does anyone else want to take a shot at this? What would I do? And again, my hint is right now I'm multiplying by this thing. What is the inverse operation of multiplying by this thing? Yeah, Ripley?
Divide.
Divide by that thing. Yeah. So I'll write it out, and then Ripley's going to tell us what our final answer is. So I'm going to divide by this thing. I'm calling it a thing because it's really one block of, it's a number, because 3 minus t is like 2, or t is 1, or t is 5. I don't know what number it is, but this just represents some number. Maybe it's 7 or -3. I don't know what number it is, but it's just some number. So I'm going to divide both sides by this 3 minus t, divide both sides by that. So it's a legal operation. And these should be gone now. What do I have on the right-hand side, Ripley?
0.
Oh, not quite.
Or
There's
X.
one thing that's left over. Yeah, x. And
X, yeah.
the left-hand side, I just rewrite it. It's this negative p minus 7 all over this 3 minus t. And the answer looks funny, but that's the answer. Negative p minus 7 divided by the quantity of 3 minus t. And I guess the weird and wacky thing is I could have chosen p and t to be almost any value in our original equation, but I now have a shortcut for how to find the answer all in one quick step. Okay, and I know this stuff is hard. It's kind of mind-bending, but let's try the same thing again. I'm gonna add a twist to it just so that you guys can see some twists that Khan Academy will also throw your way. And I think, yeah, we have example 4 also. So there's all of example 2. I'm curious on how many people I lost and how many people got what was going on. Fist of 5, example 2. How well did you follow example 2? It's a 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3. Hello, Zeke. All right. Let's move on to example 3 then. Change Ripley back from an absence. There we go. All right, so we're trying to solve for y. So again, it's the same operations that we've been dealing with. First, you need to simplify both the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and then you need to solve for y. The only additional trick that we have is doing this extra factoring out of an x and then dividing by whatever is left over. That's the only additional trick that I've shown you today, aside from the fact that everything's now variables instead of numbers. That's algebra for you, right? So first we need to simplify. I see some parentheses on the left-hand side, so that's definitely not simplified yet. I need to somehow simplify that and then do the same operations that we've done before. So first step, who can help me? I want to hear from someone new if possible. I haven't heard from very many people yet. I've been kind of calling the same people. People that I want to hear from. I want to hear from either Carlos, Haiti, Diego, Zeke, maybe after he's caught up. I don't know. I want to hear from someone new. Right now I have parentheses. How do I get rid of the parentheses? There's an operation that I do to somehow multiply these things together. Does anyone see it out of those new people that I've talked to? Haiti, you want to give it a shot?
I mean, I don't know. I'm so confused.
All right, so right now I need to multiply this quantity and this quantity. Do you remember how to multiply into each of these letters to distribute? Just kind of squish them together. I can do the first one, you can do the second one if that would help.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna multiply u times y. And I don't know what those numbers are, so I'm just gonna say u times y is u times y. And I just kind of smash them, I don't know what the word is. I'm just saying uy. Okay, I multiplied u and y. Now I want you to multiply u and j.
So UJ?
uj, yeah, you're done. uj, all right. So Haiti and I have distributed the left-hand side. We've simplified the left-hand side. And I'm gonna recopy down the right-hand side, negative 3y plus 7. All right, we've simplified everything as much as we can. We've gotten rid of any extra parentheses. And now I need to solve for y. Notice that there's two y's. Maybe you can underline them. There's a y on the left and a y on the right. Again, the same procedure as last time. We need to get all the variables on one side, all of the non-variables, AKA the constants, on the other side. What should be our next step? All right, only Carlos, Zeke, and Diego can answer this one. Ashley, have you participated yet? No? Okay, Ashley, sorry, I forgot about you. Yeah, go for it, Ashley.
Subtract uy on both sides.
All right, let's do it. Subtract uy, subtract uy. Can you read us our new equation after we do that?
Yeah. Uj equals a negative 3y plus 7 minus uy.
Perfect. Yeah, a great first step. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley has moved all of the variables to the right-hand side by subtracting uy on both sides. But we have this 7 on the right-hand side. We need to get rid of that somehow. Again, someone new. Someone new. Sorry, Ripley. Thank you for raising your hand, though. Appreciate it. Someone new. Oh, I don't think I've heard from Braden either yet today. So Braden, Carlos, Diego, someone new. Zeke, I haven't heard from you either. What do I do to both sides? I need to get variables on one side, constants on the other. I know, Ripley, I'm sorry. All right. I'm going to call, yeah, Zeke.
You could subtract 7 by both sides.
Yeah, let's do it. Can you read us our new equation after we do that?
Yeah. Negative 7. Or no, 7 minus uj.
7 minus uj, like that?
Yeah. And then equals negative 3y minus uy.
Okay. So there is a tiny error here, and you can find it, Zeke, or I'm hoping other people will find it too. Does anyone see the tiny error that happened in this line? Zeke already sees it. I want to wait for other people to catch it
I
too,
think I
because
see
it is
it.
a common mistake. I'll give it to you, Zeke, in a sec, but I'm going to wait for more time.
Okay.
Who sees the error in this line? All right, Zeke, tell us.
I think it's it wouldn't be 7 minus UJ, it'd be UJ minus 7.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll come back here and grab my eraser to say UJ minus 7. Perfect, yeah, thank you, and good catch too. Give yourselves a pat on the back if you found that too, guys. All right, and now I get into the tricky bit because I'm trying to solve for y, right? That's what our original instructions say, solve for y. Right now I have 2 of those y's. I need to turn it into 1 y. And again, my trick for you guys that I showed you today is using factoring. Somehow factor out a y to turn 2 y's into 1 y. Who can help me do that? I know, I have to call in new people, so sorry. Sorry, Jose. I see your hand, Giorgio, but I'm gonna call in someone new. All right, Diego, you're up.
I think you you factor out uy from 3y?
You just factor out just a normal y, so a y.
What the y's?
Yep, and then what happens when I factor out a y? What's left over on the inside?
Negative 3 minus u.
There it is, negative 3 minus u. Yeah, thank you. And the left-hand side, we haven't changed. I'll just rewrite uj minus 7. We're almost done. We're almost done. Also, almost done with class too. I might have to run through example 4 real quick. All right, between Braden and Carlos, who's gonna do our last step? And it's very, very similar to what we did in example 2. We have a variable being multiplied by that parentheses. We're just gonna divide by that parentheses. I might have trouble translating the last minute and a half of class. I'm gonna give it to Braden. So Braden, what do we do to both sides?
Divide negative 3 minus u on both sides?
There
Or
it
just
is.
negative 3? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then what do I have on the right-hand side?
Y?
Exactly, because all that got canceled out. And we can rewrite our answer over here. We can say y is equal to, I just ran out of room, so I have to do it over here. Y is equal to, the numerator is uj minus 7, and the denominator is minus 3 minus u. So I didn't have time to get to example 4 today. I'll finish the recording later for example number 4. But there is the answer. You guys have homework tonight. If you want to watch the video for example 4, you can. It's not necessary. Just write your summary after example 3, and that's fine. And Carlos, I will call on you tomorrow. All right. Any questions? Oh, let me get a quick fist of 5 before we go. We left off on example number 4. So I'm still in Zoom. Solve for z. Again, I need to distribute this n on both sides. So n times this negative 5 is going to be negative 5n. N times this positive z is going to be positive nz. The right-hand side is already simplified. I just rewrite it kz plus 9. Okay, I need to get all the variables on one side and all the constants on the other. I'm going to just kind of randomly decide. I'm going to move this kz over by subtracting kz on both sides. So subtract kz on both sides. I could have subtracted the nz on both sides, but I'm just doing it this way. From here, this kz is going to be canceled out. I'm left with negative 5n plus nz minus kz. And that's going to be equal to 9 on the right-hand side. I need to get all the non-z's, all the non-things I'm trying to solve for on the right-hand side. So this negative 5n has got to go. I need to undo subtract 5n. I'm going to add 5n on both sides, add 5n on both sides. That cancels out. I'm left with nz minus kz. Cool. So all the z's are on the left, and all the non-z's are on the right. I have this 9 plus 5n. All right, I have two z's, and I want to only have one z, so I'm going to factor out a z. So factor out a z. What's left over is an n minus k. The right-hand side hasn't changed yet. I still have 9 plus 5n. From here, I need to divide both sides by whatever's being multiplied by a z. In this case, it's this n minus k, which again just represents some number. It might be 7, who knows. But I'm going to divide both sides by n minus k. Divide both sides by n minus k. This n minus k cancel out, and I'm left with just z on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I just rewrite this fraction. This is 9 plus 5n in the numerator, and in the denominator, we have n minus k. There's our final answer, and I box it.